So I want to know, like, when you have an episode and how they react, I guess is what I'm trying to dig to.
Sure. I mean, I would say I had quite a bit of depressive episodes at different times there. I guess sometimes they will pray with me. I was referred to pastoral care. I was referred to Hillsong Emerge counselors. They didn't know, and I had a psych in the public system at that time. I had other support. I was never told to not go there or not take medication. But the few times I tried to come off it thinking, no, I'm just going to believe for healing. But I think that was more like the pressure of like, oh, I just want to have one of those testimonies and I'm just going to believe for this. So that's what I'm going to do. Than anyone telling me to. But I know that hasn't been other people's experiences too, I think. But is after the Mercy experience, and I know we'll cover that at some point. After that, I was in a living situation with someone from there, and it was clear that they weren't okay. And I was,
In terms of,
I was living with them. They were having episodes. They were a danger to themselves. And I am like, oh my God. And this girl's friend and Connect group leader had come over and she was at the house. And I went to make a call. I went to call the crisis team, the mental health crisis team, which is just, I don't know what they call it now, but basically they're a team at the hospital, like the local area hospital that responds to situations like this. Because that's who I call if I'm in a really, really bad situation, or that's kind of what you know to do when you come from the what I come from. And I went to call them, and this Connect group leader person says, oh, who are you calling? And I said, oh, this is like, it's part of the hospital, but they can help her, like they can make an assessment. And she kind of talked to the lady. She took my phone. She's like, oh, hello, here's this. Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. Goodbye. And she hung up my phone. And instead she just did all this like prayers and tongues over my friend. And I think at that point I was like, this is cooked. This person is like a risk of hurting themselves. Like it's pretty clear here. This is a mental health matter. And this well-meaning friend of hers is responding, oh no, let's speak in tongues and speak against principalities and powers. And
which must be terrifying when you're going through something intense like that, you know, and you're vulnerable.
yeah, like I just was like, why? I don't know. I think that was like a wake up call to me. It was like, is this the Christian response here? Like, do we not call, like, if someone's if you have a heart attack and fall down the stairs, you call an ambulance. If someone's having a seizure, you call an ambulance. Why are we praying for her? She's having a serious episode. She needs like immediate psych help. Why are you praying for her in a situation? This is an emergency. That was like a wake up call to me. I think that's where I just was like, this is not, like, I felt like I lived in two very, very separate worlds with two very different ways of doing things and seeing things around mental health.
Okay, so describe them quickly.
Because in my world, from the psych world, and I think, I had psychiatrists, psychologists, I had medication dispensed to me by psychiatrists. If I've been going through a bad time, I had inpatient. Yep, I'd been in inpatient care. There were, and I'm not saying like the public system, I'm very grateful for it, but it's not perfect, but it's there and it's run by qualified people. And then I've got this other thing, this weird Christianese response that is like to an episode, and we should call it a medical episode because that's what it is. If it's psychiatric,
yes,
it's still a medical episode, like a heart attack is, like this is. Why are we praying for this? Why are you trying to pray devils out of her and speak stuff over her? And because we were in Mercy together, we were supposed to be healed and graduates, and we'd already gone through all this crap, like, breaking off this curse and casting this thing out and doing the forgiveness, whatever. We'd already done that. Why? That I think it was just that was a wake up moment of like, this is crackpot.
Just tell me, was this a college house or was this just shared accommodation?
This was a shared accommodation I had later with this girl and one other person who wasn't
Yeah.
from Mercy.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, was this leader or whatever actually, did she have any authority or she was just a trusted?
She was a trusted friend of this girl, and then she later became her Connect group leader, which they used to call cell group. So she was like her home Bible study leader. She eventually kind of moved up ranks, and I don't know, she was in Bible college, and she did her third year, and she kind of moved up the ranks and married someone else who was doing all that too. Yeah.
But I mean, she didn't actually have any right to kind of make those decisions then.
No,
At
it
all.
was just this weird, it's like, you're in my home, this is a friend, this is really concerning. You can see what's happening here. You can see it's a mental health episode. I went to call because I know who to call, and I went to make the call, and they picked up the phone, but she grabbed the phone off me and hung it up. Like yeah, it was just really weird.
And then what happened after that? I mean, how did that episode resolve?
It didn't really. This person kind of had ongoing episodes for a while, and I think the response. Look, I don't know where this person has. I don't know how things are going for that person now, but for a while, like I eventually moved out of that house, but for a while there were a few episodes that went on like that, and I think different friends and people they tried to come, like help, and there were even some old staff members from Mercy that tried to check in on her and stuff, and it was just, yeah, it was all the wrong stuff. Like, it's like we'd been through Mercy for like a year, and all we were supposed to be all healed. All of it. Like our testimony. This is the testimony. You get up and talk about how like, oh, I'm like so healed and stuff now. So I didn't have those problems anymore. And then here we are. Yeah.
All right. So things progress. So like what happens? You're going, you're serving, you're working and doing all your volunteering, serving stuff and going to church. Then, I mean, what makes you leave basically?
Okay. So I did that year at Mercy, and because after I came back and things had changed a little bit, because I think just before I left, I think they introduced the third service at Waterloo. And then when I came back and things were different again, and they were doing this and they were doing that, and there was all these other teams. And at that point, there was a huge, huge pressure to constantly be serving. So there used to be events that maybe after the service at night or whatever, some of us who'd been serving, we might go down the road and have a coffee or something. And because they were like, most of them were like frontline age group, it started to become, oh, that's going to be an official frontline event now. These coffees and these things and these events, and that's going to become an official church event. And then if you're a Connect group leader, you're required to be at those or most of those. There was this requirement and push for Connect group leaders to serve more. If you're in college, serving even more. You would be in the foyer, you'd go into the foyer to go in a church, and you'd be accosted by that person's, they're like pushing men's conference. Oh, yeah, how are you going? And they'd like come up and pretend to be a friend. I'm, oh, yes, how you doing? Oh, cool, that's really good. Are you connected in here? Oh, that's really good. Oh, that's great. Hey, do you want us to come serve on our team? We're going to do this. And basically, we just come together every second week, and then we do this. And then we kind of basically just help people, connect with God. And like, they'd be recruiting for their teams in the church foyer. There would be a bunch of them. And sometimes, like, it's like one of them would be going up to someone else and they didn't know the other person was serving on a team trying to do the same thing. So they'd be like, oh, yeah. So trying to have this, like, small talk conversation. And then one of them like, oh, yeah, do you want to serve? Oh, actually, I'm serving on this team. And they realize that they're trying to recruit. And then, so I had met a guy, well, I was with a guy who later became my husband. He started getting really angry. He had been going he'd started Bible college, but it was one outside of Hillsong, and he was trying to do that. He was trying to study, he was working, and he was serving, but then his dad got a cancer diagnosis, and he felt like he just wanted to step back for a while. And one of his super Christian alpha housemates who was in college was like, "What are you doing?" And thought he was backsliding because he was trying to step back from serving. And he got really angry, and he just kind of withdrew for like a good 3 months from a lot of things because he just like his dad's got cancer. He's already doing all this stuff. Like, what the heck? And at that time, I think we both had enough. Like, and a lot of people in our age group actually started leaving. There was actually this huge mass exodus around that time, and that was late 2007, early 2008. Like, a lot of the city people
What?
to Jubilee Church. A lot of the Hills ones went to Springwood. All these people started leaving.
Because of similar things?
The pressure, all the serving, because like no one ever got to see their friends unless they were serving side by side and they were busy serving. No one got to do anything social anymore because anything social was now a church event that you had to be at. So it got really, really out of hand. Really out of hand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I wonder what they had. Yeah, because I mean, you had seen the change, you'd seen a shift. So
Yeah.
something must have, yeah, they must have gone to a conference themselves on how to, get that last hour out of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was that like once you'd stepped away?
We went to another much smaller, less known church for a while because we got married beginning of 2008. That was pretty much like we were done with Hillsong. We still had like a lot of fondness for a lot of friends there, but I think we were just really over the whole whatever. A lot of people had left as well who were our friends. We just went to a much smaller church for a while. I think for me and my faith, I think I was still figuring a lot of things out. I was really confused. I'd done the whole Mercy thing. I ticked all these boxes and I'm like, yeah, healing. Yeah. But then in the end, it's like you just try to put on a face just to graduate the stupid program. And I didn't really find joy in my faith anymore. Like I didn't like sitting through a sermon. I found I guess in some of the praise and worship, like I was helping with the praise and worship at the small church, but honestly, I think it was like, I don't know, met some really beautiful people, but I think I just could never really find peace with it again. And I think it is just a wider Christian response to mental illness and mental health. I don't know. It makes you not know when, like, you don't recognize your own warning lights.
Okay, tell me more.
You don't recognize,
Yeah.
because, like, if you have if you think you have some kind of profound religious experience, and I saw this happen with somebody that I knew, just wasn't quite himself and just started thinking he was having these really profound experiences and waffling on about stuff that didn't really make sense. And it's like, I kind of knew I was like, something's not right with you. I'm pretty sure you are many. And he spoke to someone at that church who was a psychologist, and she's like, oh no, you're not. Then a month later, he ended up in hospital. With like a very full-on manic episode and experiencing psychosis and hallucinations. And I kind of knew, it's like, I kind of know, I can kind of see it, but then it's like, it's just explained away. Oh no, I think that person's just having some profound whatever from God, and they're just having an experience from God. And so it's like, okay, so we just accept that. Actually, no, he needs help. And he could have gotten the help a month earlier.
Yeah, could have been prevented. I was wondering. Yeah.
It's got so serious, like things like that. I think just the way that things are just explained, or if you're really like angry or hurt by something or traumatized, and you've got to kind of obsess over forgiveness. I know, like, you're holding bitterness in your heart, and you sure you don't have forgiveness, and you've got to like sit there with, figure out if your feelings are okay or not, or if you're going to hold on, the bitterness is the foothold and then leads to the strongholds and then it leads to this and demonic possession or something. So I think sometimes the way Christians try to explain feelings away and sometimes it doesn't help you really accept, like, hang on, this is my feeling. It's not right or wrong. It's what it is. And sometimes those things are your warning lights and you can't be ignoring them. Yeah.
No, well, that's really interesting from your firsthand experience because they do teach you directly to ignore your feelings at times in the face of faith or a Bible verse, or it
Mm,
may not be able to see it, but it's real, it's true. And what is
yeah.
that for all the other people who have had the support? I guess it's hard to measure this stuff, but you talk about having a lot of support and doing a lot of the work. You've had some very difficult times, but and I'm just wondering, for people that haven't had access or don't know or grew up in that environment, how much more you multiply that kind of negative experience, preventable illnesses and all kinds of things.
Yeah, definitely. It's really like, it was really strange. I felt like such an alien because I feel like, and I've said this to you, Tanya, I feel like I've had like 9 lives
Well,
and all these worlds that don't kind of really go together. And so I'm kind of in the Hillsong world and I'm kind of going to work at this like normal place over here. And then got this family that like none of them are Christian except my dad vaguely. And then just think I'm a bit of a weird. And I don't know, I've just moved in these circles that are so polar opposite from each other. And it's just like, I think Hillsong was just another world to me.
what do
But
you
I
think
think,
about moving in this? Because, Christianity is pretty a serious kind of set of principles. It's difficult to step outside during the day. I mean, had you talked to
mm,
people at work about it, or like how did that go?
I found it so like the whole evangelism thing, I hated it because like I used to think, oh no, but then if you deny him before others, he will deny you. And when you got a family who don't believe, and you're like, well, what about their salvation? Where are they going to go? And then when you have elderly relatives that die, you're like, oh, you just prayed and prayed for them, and you hoped that in their last dying breath they cried out to the Lord. You don't really know where they are, and so you just like really, it's really horrible. You just
Very traumatic.
stress and worry that relatives that you think, well, unless they cried out to the Lord, they're not going to be in heaven. You're not going to see them when they die. And you have this horrible thing you live with, but you're trying to tell yourself it's the good news, but it's awful. And then, like, it's weird because now, like, when I think back and I think of the people that I loved, at both the churches I went to, the people that I still have a lot of care for. And I know that they really love and care for me. And there's still a lot of, goodwill between us. But I feel really guilty because I feel like they know I'm not really in church anymore. They're not really sure what I think or believe about anything. And it's like now I feel guilty, like I'm making them worry about me and my salvation, where I'm going to end up. I feel guilty. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
weird, twisted thing.
Well,
Like,
it's no, it's a lot of empathy. You know how they feel.
yeah, because it's the hell what I went through with it. Like, it's like it wasn't good news. So I was always like, oh, everyone in my family is going to hell. Cool. Except maybe my dad. So you're like, everyone's going to die one by one. Like, I had a niece die, which and I think that was a huge thing too. So when my niece died, it was really awful. Then her baby died. I think for me, it was like, that was a huge nail in that coffin of church for me. Yeah, I just couldn't, like, I just kind of like to be sitting there going, oh, well, God could have stopped that, or why didn't he stop it? Or
Yeah.
having to explain why God is good, and convince yourself that all of this stuff is true that can't all be true simultaneously when something like that happens. And you're like, who's going to hell and who's going to heaven, and trying to comfort relatives who are still impacted. Like, it was so twisted up. And I think that was a huge nail in the coffin for me, like with church altogether. Yeah.
So that took place, and I'm so sorry about the death of your niece and her baby while you were still attending.
I wasn't at Hillsong. I was attending a different church at that point, and that would have been 2007.
Okay, and how did
Yeah.
was the support like then? Or even from, people you used to know?
The church and the friends we had there at the time, like, yeah, they supported us and cared and everything. But it wasn't anything that anyone said. I think it was just for me. I feel like I think I just realized how much defending I do in my mind for this God. God is good and God doesn't lie and he doesn't do this stuff and he's all powerful, but we're also sinful. So bad things happen and he can't interfere with our free will. And you're just like constantly doing these gymnastics and trying to make sense of this. And it's like enough. Like I just had enough. I'm like, I'm not going to defend God anymore. I'm not
Yep.
going to try to explain that to my relative who is asking me, where are they now?
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, I'm really
yeah.
it messes me up. No, I think that was the point where my faith is not the same. I don't, yeah, because I just think I just realized how much we we try to reason and explain God constantly and uphold this idea of him. And it's like if he is those things, he can defend himself and he can explain himself one day. Because I'm not like going to do the work anymore. I'm not.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, good. It's indefensible. It becomes indefensible,
Yeah.
and reality with what's written in the text and what you're told to believe becomes. I don't know how people defend the God of the Bible.
Yeah, and I just kind of look at it now and I see, this whole, oh no, that was the Old Testament, this is the New Testament. No, but he is love. And there's things we just don't understand because of our mind. And he's infinite and he sees all of it. No, yeah, just shut up. Like, it's just this, it's like they don't know they're doing it. It's like you're doing it. This isn't God telling you this. This is you because you've got this set of rigid, God is this, this, this. So therefore, you have to accommodate everything that contradicts with that around this and
Yeah.
make it fit when it does not fit.
Yeah.
Because God of the Bible, there's massacres. There's times when babies were massacred and wiped out. It's horrible. There was a flood.
The God of the Old and New Testament at no point has any problem with slavery. At no point says that there is any issue with owning another human being. No.
Yeah.
How do you defend that?
Well, they say because it was to do with servitude and not like, I don't know. That Christians have an answer for everything. And it's like, why do you have to have an answer all the time?
Yeah, and that's another one.
It's like, why do you have to make it comfortable for yourself to sit and go, oh yeah, God's good, but even though this says this, but no, he's still good, and have an answer for everything because it's not an answer.
Yeah.
I've been always coming up with the answers because it doesn't have an answer, or maybe the answer is that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Love it. So where are you at now? Do you think? You don't have to say. What do you? The old.
I just like I'm in this space. I think one day around that I'm like, I'm putting this on the shelf. I'm not thinking of that anymore. I'm not trying to figure it out anymore. I'm not answering for God anymore. I'm not defending God. And I think I was probably still very slowly. I think I would still still had a Christian faith for a long time, and I think I still do in some ways believe in a force or a higher power. But I think I'm probably some kind of agnostic now. I'd say I'm some kind of agnostic.
And you're okay with that? Sounds all right.
Yeah, I don't have the answers, but I don't feel like I have to figure it out. Like we live our lives, like we live our lives. I don't have to try to convince myself that like a loving God allowed something horrible to happen to me when horrible things happen. I don't
Mm.
have to go through that and feel hurt by it and feel guilty that I think, I'm feeling challenged about my idea on God and I have to convince myself God, but I don't go through that anymore. So it's like you just accept crap happens and because it happens, not because God allowed it. It's just, I don't know.
And like that looking for a confirmation thing like, was that the confirmation or was that the confirmation? Was it a
Yeah,
yes?
like all of that. Like, yeah, I don't know where that idea came from. The Holy Spirit and the three confirmations about the will of God. And did you get taught that as well?
I don't know about the 3, but it could have been, yeah, I don't know if there was a number on it, but it was definitely like you'll get a confirmation and you'll know. It'll be clear.
Yeah, yeah. And then you get a delusion of reference. You're like, yep, got it.
But you don't know which one it is. Like, so that makes you very superstitious. So if if the light turns red, right, yeah, there, the answer's no. Or that,
Yeah. If I saw a number plate that said this, and I think that was the start of the word of this, and so I think that was God telling me this.
yeah, I think it wouldn't have a positive effect on mental health. I'm just
No.
like, how many people are listening that have had either an experience directly or know somebody who's been through something like this? Like I said, I can't imagine anything more terrifying than being so desperate. You need help and somebody starts praying and
Mm,
speaking in tongues and try to exercise you and cause a trauma in itself. Yeah.
mm.
And I don't know, is there anything else you want to tell us about?
Probably not until I talk about mercy.
Yeah, no, cool. I just don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's everything.
You always have such cool things to say. All right. Well, hold on there. Thank you so much. Hold those thoughts and we'll be back for the Mercy talk.
Thank you.
Ah, thank you, Sarah.